for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 289 of Hawkeye from the Avengers Age of Ultron. And I'm really very excited about this guy. It is, after all, my first Hawkeye figure. I never did get the first Hawkeye from the Avengers film, primarily because, for some reason, I remember reading an article that said that Jeremy Renner never really planned on coming back. He didn't really like the role. He felt that it was underused and things like that, and the rumor was he wasn't going to come back in future installments. But obviously, here he is, and I'm glad that I waited because I really like this one, actually more than the original. Now, for the package, you can see you got the nice Avengers Age of Ultron logo right there with the A kind of going through there. Real cool image. I love how they actually have the line going right down his nose. That's very kind of accurate to how a lot of the archers will use their bow. And then you can see that around here on the side, the image kind of carries around. Now, one thing that I'm noticing is while the design is pretty similar with all these Age of Ultron figures, they all have different hues in terms of the coloring. And with Hawkeye here, you can see that he definitely has some purple in there, which nicely homages the actual character. You come around here to the back, you have the various warnings and things of that nature. Then on this side, you got Hawkeye's little logo. It is a little slip cover, so you just shake it up like so. You got that same logo right there, but now it's just white instead of the silver foil. And then on the back, you have the cast and crew responsible for making the figure. Come around here to this side, just says Hawkeye. And then in the front, you got the window package, which fully displays the figure and his accessories. And then you can see the little purple kind of carries through. But like I said, I'm really excited about this guy. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Hawkeye opened up and out of his packaging. And this guy is absolutely terrific. Now, a lot of people are very, very happy with the original one. And while I never got that, I have seen it many times. And until they announced this one, I was like that close to going and actually buying it. And I'm absolutely glad that I didn't. This guy comes with a lot of accessories, but once you get everything kind of plugged in and stored on the figure, it really doesn't seem like you have a heck of a lot. But he actually does come with a fair amount. So as always, starting off with his accessories, first and foremost, he comes with additional pegs, which is always very important, and I'm glad that they always include these. I have about 1 billion of these now. Then in addition to a pair of relaxed hands, both right and left, and you can see that on his right hand here, it's just this kind of open palm sort of look here with no glove or anything. Whereas this left one actually kind of helps to stabilize his string pulling back feature, I guess. And then you got a couple additional left hands. Obviously, this one here is designed to kind of pull back the drawstring, which you probably can't see right there, but you can pull that back. You got another one that is in a different kind of configuration that allows you to pull back. You got a straight finger. I'm not 100% sure what that's actually for, to be honest with you, but you do have those extra hands so that you can get a really cool, the action pose look with them. He comes with two quick load sort of arrow tip things or something like that, and these are really cool because they're magnetically attached to the side of his boot. You just take this, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it could go either way, but I think you want to have it that side with like the arrows kind of facing out. So you just do that on both sides. Really cool. Yeah, that's definitely a feature that I appreciate, and it's another use of the magnets, which really kind of helps things out. He comes with a bunch of different arrow tips. Now, starting off first, we're going to take a look at his arrows and his quiver. One thing that they do is you get a total of 10 of these, what they call long arrows, and you get one short arrow. And just removing this, you can see that's a short arrow. That's the long arrow. Now, the short arrow has one specific spot, that being right here in the middle of the quiver. You just put it in and then push, and it kind of locks into place. There's little clips towards the top and the bottom that you just lock it in. But now, primarily, you get these long arrows. You got the nice little feather here at the end of it. You got the little section down here at the very tip that allows you to hook it to the string. And then, like I said, you get a whole bunch of these different arrowheads. Some are grappling hooks, like for example, you can see that this one's a grappling hook, and then other ones are probably like exploding ones. Some are maybe tracking device ones, things like that. So you do get several of these. Now, these larger arrowheads can only fit on the large arrow. They can't actually be applied to the small arrow, so you can't use these little guys with anything other than the large ones. And then you do get some additional ones here that are just, these ones look like they're standard ones, but they're a little bit smaller. Now, any of these small ones can be attached to the small arrow. They can also be attached to the large arrows as well. It's just these ones have a wider hole, and you can see they fell all over the place. They have a wider hole, and the small arrow can't facilitate that. But you just take these, and I'll just kind of show you here. We're going to take this one, I don't know, and then you just plug it in right like so, and now you have his full complete arrow, which is great. This looks absolutely wonderful. And like I said, you do get several arrows, and you can see for the quiver, all you have here are these little pegs here that grip it. So you go through, it's a little bit tedious, to be totally honest with you, lining all these up and getting them on here. But to kind of give it this full look like you see right down here, they give you like 3 of these blank ones that have nothing on them. You just put them in there, and it just fills in that gap right there. So you get the illusion that you're getting all these arrows. And the other thing that's pretty cool is it allows you to space these out so that it doesn't look too cramped in here. If those were all arrows with the feathers, it really wouldn't work very well. And then you get 2 halves, and then you can see that there's little pegs and holes, and then there's also a magnetic section here. You got the little magnet right here that you just bring these 2 bits together, kind of fit it like that, kind of push it, and there you have his fully assembled and stocked quiver. And that looks really cool. And like I said, you get that illusion that there's a lot more arrows in there than there actually are. And then I like how they actually also do give you one extra one that doesn't fit in here, that you can have this on his back, and you can use this to display in his actual bow. That's really very cool. And ideally, what you would want to do, and I'm gonna probably do this here at some point in time during this video, you just won't see it, is taking all these smaller arrows and actually putting them on here. Because when you have it like this, it looks fine, but it really should have arrow tips there at the bottom. So that's a great touch. I love that. I think it's wonderful. And I just think that overall this has a very cool look. Now, additionally though, it does say that these larger size arrow tips are not designed to actually be plugged on here while the actual arrows are in the quiver. So you do want to use the smaller ones if you're going to display them like this. So that's something that you do want to bear in mind. Now, also, you do get this more extended version of these quick release arrows. It comes with 3 sections of 3 arrows each, but they are all attached. And honestly, I have no idea what you would really want to use this for. It looks like Wolverine or something. I mean, I know that he used it in the movie. I just think that this kind of looks a little bit silly. I have no real interest in this at all. But you do get it. I do like how these are actually included, and I think that just rounds out his actual costume. But this is strange. Now, he also does get 2 actual bows themselves. One is fully extended. You can see real great detail on here. You got some nice carbon fiber look on here. I don't know how well that's going to come across, but you got a real cool look, like I said, with carbon fiber sort of detailing here for the actual main section. And then this comes down, and you can see where it looks like it would bend. This doesn't. That one actually does, and I'll touch on that here in a little bit. And then you got this really nice stringy piece right here, which is also very springy. So you can, I mean, you can barely see it because of how the lights are, but you do have that, and that's really cool. And you can stretch that pretty far. And then when you do it, you can see that it actually moves this section here. So really nice. It's not something that I think you would want to constantly keep doing because it could ruin the elasticity of this, but it is cool that they actually incorporate it. And then you got some real great detail in here, like some sights and things like that. I think that's his little laser pointer, which, why would he need something like that? But you do have that, and like I said, that has a string. Or you do have this one, and this one's actually probably my favorite looking, probably just because of the functionality of it. It is exactly the same in terms of the look of that other bow that I showed you. I mean, you got the nice carbon fiber pattern on here, you got the laser sight, things like that, but you also do have now the functionality of having it actually extend from a collapsed position, and I think that's really very cool. Now, depending on how you want to pose your figure, I mean, you can use this one with the extra string, which you can't actually see, but there's a string right there. I mean, if you wanted to have him posed looking like he's about to shoot an arrow, this is a great piece. This one obviously does not have the string on it, but in terms of a walking around pose, this is a great one to have. I really do like that they included this. It's a great piece. Now, one other thing that you get is a pair of sunglasses, which is very cool. You can actually kind of sort of see through them. It's kind of like they're real sunglasses almost. I mean, you can kind of see the light travels through there very nicely. So really cool. I like the design of these. They kind of look like Oakley's, to be totally honest with you. And while I'm not a big fan of Oakley's just in general, I think that these are nice looking sunglasses. And then in addition to that, you do get the Avengers Age of Ultron display stand with Hawkeye right there. You got the really cool textured... I do like this. It's a cool looking display stand. You do have the adjustable cradle. It does take up a little bit more of a footprint on, say, a detail for something like that. So when they do include these kind of fancy display stands, I do wish they would give you just the standard oval one, just to kind of keep things simple. That would kind of be a personal preference just for me, but for his accessories, that's about everything. So now coming to the figure himself, like I said, you can actually use the magnetic clasps to lock those into place, getting this kind of out of the way. Come around here to the back, you've got a little section right here that allows you to slide the quiver right in there. It just clips on there, kind of slide that down, and that's how you have that. So you do have the storability, I guess, of a lot of his accessories, but this guy really is terrific. Now, looking at the face sculpt, this absolutely looks like Jeremy Renner. That's an amazing sculpt, and when you look back at the original Hawkeye, you can definitely see that this is an improvement over that. I mean, that is a great looking portrait that I cannot really find anything all that wrong with it. I mean, he's got a very stern look in his eyes. You got the clean, kind of closed mouth. Very, very cool. And then obviously, if you want to, you can create that very cool look that Clint had and put his sunglasses on. And now, hey, he's got that cool look going for him, which, I mean, that's pretty awesome as well. So it's personal preference, but again, like I said, it gives a cool look for him and allows you to have another kind of look for the display. They do talk about how to make sure that you're careful not to leave these on for too long because it could damage the paint around there, but honestly, I've never really had that problem. But this is great, and obviously he's wearing the suit that he wore in the Age of Ultron movie. It is different than what he wore in the first Avenger movie, and that's where some people say that this figure isn't as good. Now, I do agree. I think that it would have been nice to have the short sleeve kind of look for him as well, or at least be able to take this off, because this can slide down, and you can see that underneath here is a little jacket sort of thing, as if he's just kind of hanging out, maybe at his farmhouse or something like that. So you can remove this, and let me see. It is just actually all attached. Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, the section right here, it's not really a jacket. It's kind of just like a sleeveless jacket, I guess. But you can remove this, and then if you wanted to, I think these can actually. Oh no, those look like they're actually sewn on, so you can't remove that. So you can have a different look. But I do wish that you could actually have that sleeveless kind of look, because that was a cool look for him. I did like that, and he did run around sleeveless a few times in the Age of Ultron film. But people have talked about how this is not as good of a look as that, but I think the trade-off in having a much more accurate portrait for it is perfectly fine. And like I said, this is an accurate suit to how he looked in the film itself. But real great detail. You can see that you got the nice zipper right there. You come around into the back. This actually has a little zipper too, so you can actually zip this closed. I think I don't know why you would want to, but you could if you wanted to. But he did have this little mesh section here in the film. You could just see in some shots that was open back there, but real great detail all the way throughout this. You got the purple coming through here, which nicely, like I said, homages the original character. He's got these more military looking kind of pants with all these straps, and then you come down here to the boots. Fortunately, the boots do cause a lot of problems in terms of posing. They are as stiff as you can possibly get. You can barely rotate them. They do rotate, but you barely are able to do it. It's very stiff inside there, so you don't get any forward and back posability posability, no ankle tilt, nothing like that. But what you do get still is a great looking figure that still has a ton of articulation. For the upper neck, you can see you got an upper neck ball joint right here. This kind of looks ugly when you get around here. It gets a little separated and it's kind of looks strange. And then you have this also neck section here, which is also on a ball joint. So you got an upper ball joint here at the top part, and then you got a lower section. You got his Adam's apple right there, so you do want to make sure that you keep the head straight with the neck. The shoulders move in and out. This section of the clothing is pretty flexible, so you can get it rotating really however you want. So you can get a lot of real good poses. It moves in and out, rotates at the bicep. He does have two joints at the elbow. That's also one thing that the original one didn't have. That having this now on this figure really does allow you to get much better looking poses with some of the, you got to rotate things around, with some of the arrow things, so you can put it back like that and get a much better, cleaner look with some of those dynamic poses. You come down here to the wrist, it does rotate around, moves forward and back. He does have this, an upper ab crunch and then the waist, but again, the suit kind of limits some of it, but you can twist it and you can get it in different positions and things of that nature. Come down to the hips, forward and back, but again, the pants are a little bit restrictive. That's about as far as you're really going to go. They move out about that far or so. It does rotate at the upper part of the thigh. He's got two bends here at the knee, and that's basically it. I mean, you can rotate them at the boot, but there's nothing else. I mean, everything on here is super stiff, a hard, rigid plastic, so you're not going to get a lot of posability in his legs. That could limit some of the posing options that you may want to do with them, and that fell off. I mean, it just slides on, like, so it's kind of barely just sitting there, but you knock it and it's going to come off, especially if you hit it from the bottom like that. But the articulation is all still there. It's just some of the poses are not going to be able to be achieved just because of the way that the boots are. So that's a little unfortunate. I don't think it's all that bad. I think it's a decent trade-off by the fact that you get a really great looking figure. And obviously those boots are accurate to how they looked in the film itself. So real great attention to detail. This guy really is amazing and shows a great evolution of the craft that Hot Toys has been perfecting. You can just see how much better this figure is over the original. And for me, that is the biggest selling point, just how much better of a figure this one is over the original. When you get the two and look at them, and unfortunately, like I said, I don't have the original one to do a full comparison, but looking at pictures, the sculpt on this just far surpasses anything that was done before. And like I said, really does show a nice evolution of what Hot Toys was able to do with their actual talent. This looks great. Now, some people have talked about not particularly liking the outfit, and I get that, but at least it is accurate. And honestly, it doesn't bother me all that much. The only thing that I wish that it did actually do was when you're trying to get this, I really wish that the fingers, you could actually spread them to be able to put the back end of the arrow kind of through there. That would be a little bit nicer. As it is, you kind of just have to rest it there. But as you can see, you can still get a really cool look. Obviously, you can't bring the arm all the way into his face like the images show. That's just because the elbow can't bend that far. But all in all, it still looks terrific. One of the other really great things about this figure is if you want to get a Hawkeye figure, now you can without paying crazy prices. There was a time where the original one was going for $500 and $600. Ever since the announcement for this, the prices have plummeted. So if that is still a figure that you want, the prices are a little bit more down to earth. But honestly, I think that this is the best way to go. But I can see where if people do have the original one, this one is probably not one that they would want to pick up. Or just with the improvements to the body and things of that nature, maybe swapping the heads if you do have the original one. Either way, like I said, I don't think original buyers of Hawkeye are going to be as impressed with this as I am, but I think they'll still be able to appreciate just how good this figure is. But for all you guys that missed out just like myself, he is available right now at Sideshow Collectibles. So all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Sideshow where you can pick this guy up and you can add him to your collection today. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus, and until next time, I'll talk to you later.